Welcome to another video. To start off, because I am going outside today, I will be using the SUPERGOOP Unseen Sunscreen. This got really popular and it is really nice, but I noticed it slightly mattifies my skin. So I'm going to be using this glowy makeup serum to try and add some of the glow back. You can kind of see the before and the after right there. My skin is dry, as you know, so it could use all the hydration it can get. Next, I did want to use a higher coverage foundation because my eye makeup look is going to be pretty intense. I more or less got rid of a lot of my matte high coverage foundations because none of them were working for me, so I'm on the hunt for a new one, but in the meantime, this is pretty great. It has lighter medium coverage, but it definitely has that more natural kind of satin finish, and it's not super dry. The shade match is also pretty good too, but sadly, this formula is discontinued. Then, as usual, I am using my favorite concealer to cover my under eyes. As usual, I try to use a minimal amount of product to avoid creasing, but at the same time, I do need the coverage. And then I just blend it out with my sponge. Next, I've been testing out this powder in addition to the other powders in her collection. You can see here that I do what I kind of call a mini bake, where I don't even let it sit for longer than maybe 5 or 10 seconds before brushing it off. And then I will be finishing a light dusting on the rest of my face. I do have a more in-depth review of this coming. I just wanted to do multiple wear tests before I publish my video. With that, my base is set, so onto the brows. I'm going to be using the Glam eyeshadow palette, that one single shadow that I love so much, to fill in my eyebrows. It is my perfect eyebrow shade, and I wish that she could release this in a single or something, so that way I could just buy like a ton of it and have it forever. Then I'm going to be using the Brow Blade Ink Stain side. I'm using two shades. I use Cool Cookie for the front of my eyebrows, and I use Blackout for the back of my eyebrows. Next, I did add the Tone Activator Eye Primer to the cart to get free shipping, and because I really was interested in trying it. I wanted to see if maybe this would work better than other eye primers I've tried in the past, and so far I've been liking it a lot. Now onto the eyeshadow palette. You can see here it has a really nice variety of shades. I'm first going to be going in with the shade Peach Soju, and I am using that on the inner half of my eyelid. As you can see, it builds up really well. I wouldn't say it necessarily has a super high amount of pigment, but it works as a base shade. Now I'm going to be using Mint Fever on the outer half, and you can see this really definitely packs on and builds up really well, while also still blending out pretty easily. These mattes definitely are powdery, but I didn't experience much fallout. And then I'm just going to carefully blend the two together without making it look too muddy. Finally, to add some dimension, I am going to be using Nouveau. This is going to be the last matte shade I'm using on my upper lash line. I'm kind of putting it in that hole where you saw I didn't have any eyeshadow placed to add some dimension and depth. And then I'm just going to very carefully try and blend everything together without making it look too muddy. And then I'm going to be adding on a bit more of the previous two shades I used just to bring them back. Next, for the lower lash line, I wanted to do something a little bit more fun and colorful, so I'm first starting off with Golden Age on the outer half of my lower lash line, and then I am putting the shade Chlorophyll on the inner half of my lower lash line. I did decide to add a little bit more of Peach Soju on the outer parts of my lower lash line. I thought it would add some nice cohesion. I also am going back in with Nouveau just to add some depth before going back in with even more Peach Soju. I kind of liked how adding the pink on the bottom part kind of almost made me have like that sick look. I don't know, I really liked it. Now for the shimmers, I don't know if I should have added shimmers or not. I feel like it covers up all of Nouveau, but anyways, I'm taking the shade Aloe Cove on the inner half, and then I'm taking the shade Stained Glass on the outer half. I thought it would be fun to kind of invert the shimmer placement with the mattes. I'm not really so sure how well it turned out though. but I guess it looks okay. The shimmers applied okay with a brush, but definitely they look a lot better with a finger. I found stained glass to be pressed a lot harder and have a lot less pigment than the Aloe Cove, so just my 2 cents. I'm also just using peach soju again just to blend everything out. And then finally, I thought it would be good to add some Sun Gazer on the lower lash line. Next, I'm curling my lashes. I kind of switched between the UEMURA and SHISEIDO lash curlers here, trying to figure out which one I like best. And as usual, I am reminded again of why the UEMURA lash curler doesn't really work for me. I recently bought 2 mini LANCOME mascaras from a Sephora sale, and I wanted to see if the waterproof mascara was any good, and it's okay. I will say the original Monsieur Big Mascara is my favorite lower lash line mascara, but only after it has dried out a little bit, so I'm thinking that this one might be better once it has aged. It only held my curl for maybe like 4 hours, and then it started to droop. I'm using the normal non-waterproof one for my lower lash line. You can see fresh out of the tube, the formula is a bit wet, and then after a second coat, you can definitely see it looks okay. I think these will definitely look a lot better once they've been open for about a month. Here are the eyes complete. Some false lashes would have helped, but I just wasn't really feeling like it today, and I didn't want to cover up all the shimmer. I'm gonna add some eyeliner on the inner corner of my lower waterline as usual, and then I thought maybe a little bit of eyeliner would be nice for some definition, so I'm just adding the tiniest, thinnest baby wing at the end of my eyes using a brown eyeliner. And then I'm just gonna curl my lashes again now that the mascara is dried. Here are the eyes all finished up with eyeliner and mascara. I'm gonna be using this blush. This is a brand I hadn't really heard anyone talk about, and I'm not really so sure why, because these blushes are so beautiful and the quality is super great. Plus they were each under like $10, so a good deal. I'm concentrating the blush right around the corners of my eyes, further emphasizing that kind of sick girl look. I find this blush placement to be super flattering on me, so I like to do this. And because the blush pan is a gradient, it's easy to make one blush look with one pan. I'm just using the bronzer side today, and I'm using a very, very minimal amount just to add a little bit of dimension and warmth to the edges of my face. I don't want it to be super visible, the focus is on the blush. And then I thought that it would be good for me to do some light contour, so I'm going to be using one of my favorite contour products. I'm very, very, very carefully adding it to the sides of my nose, adding only the teeniest, tiniest bit, and then I'm going to add some underneath my lips and underneath my chin. Next, the highlighter. This is a really beautiful white to green kind of highlighter, and again, it's such a shame that Becca is closing down, so I'm really glad I have the highlighters that I wanted from them now. This definitely matches really well with the rest of the look, with its greenish hue and the greenish kind of feel of the eyeshadow look. Overall, it definitely gives me super botanical vibes, and I really like it. Lastly, for the lips, as usual, I'm first going to line my lips in preparation for applying lip color. I like to overline my lower lip and only very slightly overline my top lip. I'm going to be using this Romand product as my first shade. You can see here that it is very, very subdued, almost like an MLBB shade, and you can see on my lips, it's basically the same color as my lips, just amped up a little bit. So I thought it would be nice to add a little bit of red right in the center to create a soft gradient lip. And that's this look complete. Super soft, definitely really colorful, but because it's still so pastel, it just overall still feels super feminine, super subdued. It almost could pass for something you could walk out during the day with, almost. I actually really like that I didn't put on false lashes, because the delicate pastels and the very, very floral colors would have definitely been kind of covered up or just overall overpowered, so having just mascara lets you really look at the eyeshadow. I hope you guys enjoyed this video.